Aloha mai kaua o DJ Mermaid keia a I ke oe ua kako ia kahiki ke hoʻolele ia keia pukana ma ka puna I vele e nā hoa me nā lala o keia kahua lekio I lulu kala mai ia mako. No leila, he leo mahalo keia ia o ko e nā lala a I nā a ole oe he lala mai kali a pauna niho a e hui no me kako e nāna paha o ko ma hawaiipublicradio.org a mahalo nui. Aloha ahiahi kako. You are listening to Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi here on member-supported Hawaiʻi Public Radio 1. I'm DJ Mermaid, Paige Okamura. On tonight's episode of Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi, we are going to be featuring the voices of our men in Hawaiian music since we featured the voices of our women last week, bringing a little bit of pono back to the universe as in balance. Now that we've highlighted our wahine, we're going to look at our leo kane today. For more information and a full set list, you can go online to hawaiipublicradio.org/Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi. We'll be right back after the news. Aloha mai kako, you're listening to Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi here on member-supported Hawaiʻi Public Radio 1. Like I said earlier, we are featuring the voices of our kane in Hawaiian music this evening on this episode of Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi. And I wanted to talk about our very first leo kane that we're going to be hearing because it's Tandy MacKenzie. We're going to hear Tandy MacKenzie singing Lei Poni Mōʻī off of the album A Rare Hawaiian Experience. But if you don't know who Tandy MacKenzie is, Tandy Ka'ohu o Kaleponi MacKenzie is his full name. He was also known as the first world-famous native Hawaiian operatic tenor. He was born in 1892, passed away in 1963. He was born in Hana, Maui. And we're going to hear his Lei Poni Mōʻī into Uncle Johnny Almeida, the Dean of Hawaiian Music. But we'll hear more about Uncle Johnny's story because we'll also hear a song by his Hanai son, Pua Almeida, right after that. You can find more information online at hawaiipublicradio.org by searching Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi, or you can go to hawaiipublicradio.org/Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi.
Ka Hau hawalena hito hitona, hala oku uiho.
Lina hau lina ka olu olu, e ka just mai hoika. O hau hawalena hio hiona, hala oku uiho. Lina hau lina ka olu olu, e ka just mai hoika.
Me ke o hoki e leide nā.
O ka heke oe o nā mua, o kau ia o ke kaona. No ka ini me ke o hoki e leide nā. O ka heke oe o nā mua, o kau ia o ke kaona.
Nauna ko makai kai po, e kuku e watui.
O ka nani kau oe la I ka weki o kau melodia. O nauna ko makai kai po, e kuku e watui. O ka nani kau oe la I ka weki o kau melodia.
Oia I hola ke mele o gorgeous hula. Ihimeni ia e Johnny Kameaaloha Almeida, also known as the Dean of Hawaiian Music, who was born to a Hawaiian mother who was a lay seller, Julia Kamaka Almeida. His father was a Portuguese contract laborer who ends up leaving Hawaii and leaving the family when he went back to Portugal. So then Uncle Johnny was hanai'd by his hanai father, Paulo Kameaaloha, who is how he picks up and keeps the name Kameaaloha. So Johnny Kameaaloha Almeida, who was blind, and you folks have probably heard the story of his mother, Hele Oia Ohia U'u Maile, right? And then the sap is on her fingers around the time of his birth. Most likely, that's not the real cause of his vision loss. Probably more likely due to some sort of congenital blindness issue. But of course, we all know Uncle Johnny. We know he's the Dean of Hawaiian Music. We know that he's a prolific musician and composer. Played so many instruments, including the mandolin. But one thing I always remember thinking about Uncle Johnny is the way that people would talk about how he would compose music as a blind man, because he was completely blind by the time he was like 10 years old, right? And he's talking about these different flowers, and you can talk about how they smell for sure, but things like green rose hula, when everybody, does he know what a green rose looks like? Does it matter? Because here's the thing, Uncle Johnny had 5 wives in his lifetime. He married his first wife, Elizabeth, and then his second and fourth wife, Winona. A woman named Doris Booker from California was his third wife, and then his wife, Janet, was the 5th wife. So Uncle Johnny had so many things to write about in his music because he's had 5 wives. He's had a lot of life experience there. But he also ends up with a Hanai son named Pua Almeida, right? So he takes in Pua, and Pua Almeida himself becomes a musician. His full name was Charleston Pua Onauna, and Uncle Johnny and his wife Elizabeth Hanai'd Pua Almeida from his sister Annie. So coming up next is Pua Almeida with a medley of Analani and Nani Waimea, here on HPR1's Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi.
ke ona ona Analani Ini au ni au owe E mali mai owe E mone ka haua I ale holi kui ki ana ia oe E kei hula a heo kui ki ana ia oe E kei hula Analani Mai no owe, hey no ke aloha, ke hiki poele.
Nani, hanna nui, pili a ka hanga ana kupaya na ha
Haina ia mai ana ka kuana Rei pili a ka ua ana kupaya na
Hoʻoipo Hula, Billy Gonsalves and his Paradise Serenaders here on Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi. Before that, you heard Pua Almeida and the Sunset Serenaders with a medley of Analani and Nani Waimea off of their live album, Pua Almeida Live at the Moana Hotel. I'm DJ Mermaid, your host of Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi every Sunday from 6 o'clock to 7 p.m. Pretty much soundtracking usually your dinner. Tonight we're highlighting the Leo Kane of Hawaiian music. So Billy Gonsalves was born in 1930 in Honolulu and was actually playing music professionally at a very young age, by the age of 15, with the Manoans. It's hard for me to pronounce when they spell it out in English. And that included playing with Henry Allen on the steel guitar, Billy himself, and his brother Peter and their cousin Raymond. But the Paradise Serenaders happens because Levaina Mokulehua and Billy Gonsalves formed the group in 1953, but they didn't actually record anything till about 1966. And Levaina Mokulehua and Ohana Mokulehua is very musical family, of course. But coming up next, from Billy Gonsalves and his Paradise Serenaders into another Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln of Kohala, of course. But he was born William Lionel Kalani Ali'iloa Lincoln, right? But we know him as Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln. He was born in 1911 in Kehena, Kohala. And he lived a long life. He didn't pass away until 1989 at the age of 78. But Uncle Bill was emerged into the Hawaiian music scene as a protege of Uncle Johnny Almeida, right? And he was on Uncle Johnny's KGU radio show in 1935. And of course, if you're familiar with Bell Records, mostly all of his recordings are were recorded under Bell Records. He also he ran a hula studio, he toured, he did so many different things. We're going to hear his original composition in there. So Uncle Bill has a lot of music credited to him. There are a handful, though, that are a little bit questionable on whether or not he actually composed that song or he just has the rights to it. But his composition of Liliha, which I find is usually recorded wrong, and it's written out liliha. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be lilia, like the lily flower, because that's where this song starts. It talks about Aiai Kalai o Honomaka'u, out the harbor, right, out on Kona Kohala side. Keala lilia ho'oheno poli, right? The very cherished scent of lilies, lilia. The interesting thing about this song, though, as it moves through, is we started talking about fragrance of lilies. And generally, flowers tend to be metaphorical representations of women. And so we start off with the lily flower, and then suddenly by the end of the song, we're talking about plumerias. So somewhere in Uncle Bill's composition, we've made a switch. And whether that's we've switched talking about which woman, or just maybe it's just about flowers. I'll leave it up to a little bit of interpretation. But this is Uncle Bill Ali'iloa Lincoln with his 1945 recording of Liliha into the Danny Kapoi trio with Mahina o Hoku here on member-supported HPR1's Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi.
Oh
vale oe, Mahina Hoku. Hoi ke ahe oe, I ko unani. Au he a vale oe, Mahina Hoku. Hoi ke ahe oe, I ko unani. Ualai na kahi, meha meha na pali. Oe ahu vau, e ho ipo nei. E moani ke ala, o kapua hina no. Hei po mai oe, me ko aloha. Haina ko inoa, Mahina Hoku. Hei noho nani maila, Malalani kie kie. Haina ko inoa, Mahina Hoku. Hei noho nani maila, Malalani kie kie.
Wanoho wawa kupai ko alo, akama laina e koleo. Kahi au na kamanaho, laila ila. Aia nei a kawai huni e ka ke aloha. Aia nei a kawai huni e ka ke aloha. Ua noho wau a kupa I ko alo, a ka mahaina e ko leo. Kahi au na kamaraho, laila ila. Aia nei a ka waihone e ka ke aloha. Aia nei a ka waihone e ka ke aloha.
The Ho'opi'i brothers with Wanohoawa Kupa, the Ho'opi'i brothers, born and raised in Kahakuloa on the island of Mōʻī. Uncle Saul was born in 1935 and Uncle Richard 1941. Their father was a school teacher stressed a lot of discipline and church values to their family, but he taught them to play ukulele when they were very young. So right around 3 years old, 3 and then 3 to 5, they learned how to play the ukulele. And then in the 70s, they finally officially formed the duo, the Hoʻopi'i brothers. With some assistance from the Hawaiian Music Foundation, they started to perform professionally at concerts and hula festivals. Their first album was titled No Ka'oi, came out in 1975, and then they would release about four more albums specifically under the Poki Records label. In the 1980s, Francis Kuailani would join them on bass, but they would still perform as a duo, but also with another group that was called The Bunch. And that included Auntie Genoa Kiave, Auntie Violet Pahulili, Uncle Ledrick Ka'apana, Haunania Poliona, and Barney Isaacs. There's some really great recordings and videos out there of them all performing in these big Hawaiian music concerts, which I believe were in Andrews Amphitheater at UH. They used to have these large concerts, not just raves. Every time I mention a concert at Andrews Amphitheater, everybody talks about the raves. But no, these were big Hawaiian music concerts in the middle of the amphitheater. It's really cool videos. Coming up next, we're going to kind of keep it in Maui, sort of, with George Paua. Born George Kapulenui Paua in 1934, but he was actually born here in Waikiki in Kalia. But he performed a lot on Maui and Lanai. His first sort of official singing performance, he sang on KGMB Radio's Listerine Toothpaste Amateur Hour. He won second place in 1946. Uncle George would tour also. He toured Europe with Kuili. Played at the New Malu Hotel with Johnny Spencer's band in 1955. He actually served on the Honolulu Police Department for a few years, and then would return to music full-time. So this is Uncle George Paua with Maui Boy into Cyrus Green's Hula o Kahui Ka'awai off of the album Evergreen Hawaiian here on member-supported Hawaiʻi Public Radio 1's Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi. And I need to tell you that support for Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi comes from Malamaola Health Services on Oahu, offering hospice and palliative care, founded by physicians who, with their staff, are dedicated to providing patients and their families with individualized care. malamaolacares.com. This is George Paua with Maui Boy.
He is a Maui boy, and he's got what it takes. He loves a Maui girl, make no mistakes. It doesn't matter if she comes from Mahina, Ohana, Ohana, Kauai. When they're together, he knows just how and why. Yes, he's a Maui boy, and he's got real style. He sees a Maui girl, and what a smile. He's a calabash cousin of everyone. Everyone loves that son of a gun, that Maui boy from the Valley Isle. He's got real style. He sees a Maui girl, and what a smile. He's a calabash cousin of everyone. Everyone loves that son of a gun, that Maui boy from the Valley Isle.
kikoa e na o ke kauna e oe e ka heke e na hua pala makauna una aina mai ka puana o ka heru e ka hine ka miki oi haina mai ka puana o ka heru e ka hine ka miki oi me ka miki oi me ka miki oi
Yani hanko ohi ikahiko ya mekanani ko aloha hohe no puwai hali ke one Yani hauko ohi ikahiko ya mekanani ko aloha hohe no uwai hali ke one Nani wale kai ke na ole hua o kau I vai huna ua kaulana Ona kai ani o nali wale e no hea I ka maka ke Nani wale kai ke ole hua o kau I vai huna ua kaulana Kona kai ani o lali wale e no hea I ka maka ke Nani like ole oni ha kakani baba enakai ule pupuku milini oi ke aino Ikanani like ole oni ha kakani baba enakai ule pupuku milini ualoa hello Kena iku aloha oni ha ua kokaini make make me oi kau hane o ke o laloa ua loa he loa kui kena i ku aloha o niha ua kokaini ka make make me oi kau hane o ke o laloa
Pekelo Cosma with Ni'iho off of the album Hana by the Sea. We'll get to the reason why of all of the music that Pekelo sings, usually about Hana. We heard Ni'iho today, but before that, Cyrus Green with Hula o Kahui Ka'awai, the fire department. There's some lines in that melody that are so accurate, especially when they talk about the huapala maka ona. Whenever I see a firefighter, I feel the same way. But I want to note that both Cyrus Green and Pekelo Cosma are musicians that we lost very early in life. Cyrus Green was only 47 when he passed away in 1982. And then Pekelo was only 51 when he passed away in 2011. August 2011. But Ni'iho, of all the music that Pekelo's recorded, right? Ni'iho is his only na Hoku Hanohana Award that he received in 2007 because he co-wrote it with Ilealoha Beniamina, and they won in the Hakumele category for Best Newly Written Hawaiian Language Composition. He also received the Kiho'alu Foundation Legacy Award for his lifetime career contributions for Hawaiian slack key in May of 2011 as well. But he was born and raised in Hana, Mōʻī. And it's interesting because his debut album, Going to Hana, Mōʻī, which we're probably all pretty familiar with, came out in 1992. And the notes in like the Star Advertiser, well, back then I think it was the Star Bulletin, noted like the discovery of a young Hawaiian man who played slack key guitar and sang mostly Hawaiian language songs at a time when most radio stations in Hawaii were playing 100% Hawaiian music, made him this welcomed newcomer in Hawaii's music scene. And I guess maybe I never thought about it and what direction Hawaiian music has gone in the 90s, that Pekelo's music was such a welcome change, because really what Pekelo did in his voice is very specific and it's wonderful. It wasn't new, but we had Hawaiian music in Hawaii had taken such a turn that traditional, or music that was more on the traditional side was suddenly a breath of fresh air for the music scene at the time. You're listening to Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi here on member-supported Hawaiʻi Public Radio 1. Coming up next, Uncle Sonny Chillingworth, but not doing what you're probably used to him doing. This is actually a fado. This is John's fado off of his album Ka'aino Hawaii, Into the Latin Gentleman with Pua Olena, off of the album Puerto Rican Music in Hawaii, here on Hawaiʻi Public Radio 1's Hawaiʻi Kulāiwi. Full set list can be found online at hawaiipublicradio.org.
O fado faz-me chorar, faz-me lembrar o passado e já não posso voltar. Cantava noite e dia, sem nada me dar cuidado. Não tenho a mesma alegria e não posso cantar o fado. Fica! Canto entristeço, não há para admirar. Tenho saudade de tudo, o fado faz-me chorar. Cantava noite e dia, sem nada me dar cuidado. Não tenho a mesma alegria e não posso cantar o fado.
He rue kahiku o maka honua kila kila meke kamaha mani iha moku o kahelela o mana o mana o mana ya Yesu he oh mana oh mana oh mana ya Yesu he ani he rue kahiku oh maka honua kila kila meke kamaha mani iha moku o kahelela o mana o mana o mana ya Yesu he oh mana oh mana oh mana ya Yesu he ani in the sweet by and by we shall meet on that in the sweet by and by we shall on that beautiful
Ata Damasco with Ho'omana here on KHPR Honolulu, KKUA Wailuku, KANO Hilo, KHPH Kailua Kona, KIPL Lihue, and KJHF Kualapu. Mahalo for joining me, handing you off to Sandy Tsukiyama for the Brazilian experience here on Hawaiʻi Public Radio 1.